Hey, so let's go over some CSS. So I'm in Mind tab, as you can see, and some of this we did in our class on Thursday. I'm just kind of going to go over that and also prepare for what you're going to be doing for Tuesday's class, since I'm not going to be on campus. That might be a separate video, but that's kind of my goal for this one. So some of the stuff, like I said, we've already went over in class. So I'm just going to kind of go over that again. And let's get back to the beginning of this chapter and session. Okay. So CSS, if you remember, stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And what it does, it gives it the skin. We did the analogy of HTML equals bones, CSS equals skin, and JavaScript equals muscle. So being the skin, it gives it the appearance of it. So we're going to be looking at some of the ways that we can write CSS. CSS is also maintained by the W3C, but just like for HTML, they don't enforce rules, they just set standards, and most browsers follow them because it's better to follow by a standard as opposed to being the oddball out. Okay, so let's go on to the next page. So there are types of style sheets. So we talked a bit in class about browser styles, user-defined styles, external styles, embedded styles, and inline styles. Embedded styles I've always referred to as internal, but this book refers to them as embedded. So browser styles or user agent styles, looks like, are built into the browser themselves. So in absence of a competing style from another style sheet, a browser style is one applied to the web page. So think of it like this. You know how whenever we did H1, we did H1 tags, okay? That was a larger font and bold font, right? Okay. When we did paragraph tags, it was, I think it's a 12 pixel font, question mark. It was non-bold, non-italicized. Okay, it was like a regular paragraph. So those are the tags that we played with the most. But all the browsers, whether you're in Firefox or Chrome or Edge or IE, all H1 tags, unless you tell it otherwise, are going to look larger and bold. Paragraphs would be what I'm assuming is 12 pixels, and non-bold, non-italicized. And the same principle with other tags. The default tags per browser or per an HTML page, that's a standard. Okay. So then we have user-defined styles. So that can be, like I've seen some of you guys doing dark theme. That's not the default whenever you open up a browser web page, but you have to go in your settings to make a dark theme. So that could be dark theme. That could be changing font size if need bigger font due to vision, and whatever else you can do to change that. So whenever I open up a web page, it opens up in the default theme, which is white. But for some you can change a setting to dark theme. So that's a way that you can edit it, providing some user-defined styles. And then we have external styles. And I am going to open up I'm going to pause this for a second, up a VS Code and show you examples of external styles. So I have a couple of the files that we went over on Thursday. And so we're going to talk about external styles. So external styles are external style sheets. Okay. So if we look over here on the VS Code, I'm going to word wrap it, so just be aware of that. Okay, so we have a link href, the name of a style sheet, and the relationship is a style sheet. So I want to put in here as an example, link href equals TSS layout dot CSS relationship equals style sheet. Okay, so that's an example of an external style sheet. And the name of this file we actually already have opened up here, layout TSS layout CSS. And so you can see how we have like a body, and the body, when it goes to a header, it's nested. This is considered nested. This is considered nested, like the body, when it goes to a nav, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is an example of an external style sheet. It's going to look in that style sheet for however the styles it should apply. So, and then this is embedded styles. I've always called this internal. Tasha called this one internal style sheet because it's on the same HTML file. Okay, so internals are embedded styles that are added to the head of the HTML document. So we see we have a closing head right here, and we are going to make some changes in how an internal or embedded style sheet can create to a document. So let's go ahead and do a preview. Okay, so embedded, oh, okay, I just want to practice that a little bit. So the way you would do an embedded, or I call inline, or internal, sorry. Let's go ahead and do a preview of what this page looks like right now. So we're on to tutorial. Open with Chrome. Okay. So this is what the page looks like now after what we've already done in class by editing some of the styles, by adding that external style sheet. And when we take out that external style sheet, it looks like that. So if you haven't done this assignment yet, this is what it looks like. Since we do have the external style sheet, it looks like that, okay? And this is, again, is linking to this style sheet here. But say we want this particular web page, not all the web pages in this website, but just this particular web page to look different for whatever reason. So we want the headings to look with a black background and yellow font. So we would signify headings with the H1. open curly bracket, background color black, color for the font is yellow. Okay, but something's not looking right because it's just white. And what that is I forgot something. I got to do the style tags. Okay, so once you see I put the style tags in, and again, I'm inside the head. I'm above the closing head. And once you put the style tags in, this changes color to help give us some guidance on our code. And we can font size 20 pixels. So let's refresh our page. And you can see that now everything is a black background for the headings with the yellow font for the links and about TSS and comments. So let's kind of scroll through this a little bit. So H1 are the only ones that's going to have this kind of modifications, this kind of styling. So let's find all the H1s. You can do a quick find by Control F and H1, just like you would if any kind of Word or Excel, just doing a search. And it takes us to, says there's 3, because I only did the opening and not the closing with that /. So H1 has the word links, which has that styling. About TSS has that styling. And comments has that styling. Okay, but some of these other headings didn't get that styling. Let's look at classes. So classes was up here a little bit. It's H2. So the reason classes and philosophy and the other ones that have H2 headings, I think that was it, did not receive that black and yellow that styling is because I did not tell it to. I did not tell it to look for the H2 tags. I only told it to look for the H1 tags. But you can also nest it. Say I want H1 and H2 to have that kind of styling. I can do a comma and indicate H2. So I want H1 and H2 to have that styling. Hit refresh. Now all of them has that styling. Say I want H1, H2, and paragraphs to have that styling. Now they all have that styling except for this. So we can look to see what's going on there. And I believe they're bullets from what I just saw. Or lists, rather. Where is it? Yeah, okay, these are lists. Okay, so the reason that this list, this section right here where it says running and cycling and swimming, running, cycling, and swimming, do not have that particular styling is because it's not a paragraph. It's a paragraph started with winner instruction and ended with this instruction end. So this is not considered a paragraph tag, so it did not get that styling. If we wanted it to have it, we could just simply add another comma, and it does. This right here doesn't have any of the styling. Let's look. Oh, it also did it for the links. Because that's how that is. Here's the links, and it's under a UL tag. Let's see what that one was. So aside, which is the comments, were block quotes. They were not paragraphs. They were block quotes. So you can see how you can really customize one particular web page at a time as opposed to all the web pages. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this because that's ugly what we did. And refresh. Let's see what's going on next in the book. So we talked about embedded internal styles. So finally there is inline styles. So let's go back into our text editor here. And in the inline styles, let's see, we can make a comment, add a note, go on the same line as the tag being style. Only applies to that instance of the tag, none of the others. Okay, so let's say we want this links to be really big. Get rid of the search. We want this links to be really big and be really distinct, rather. So again, what it looks like right now is this right here, just like every other H1. But we're going to change that. And the way you do an inline style is, okay, you do it after the tag itself, H1 in this example, but before this closing bracket. So let's see, so H1 style equals, let's say background color. We want it to be pink. And we want font size to be 40 pixels. Let's see if I got that right. No, I did. I thought I messed something up. Okay. So put a comma there. I'm messing something up. I know I am. Just trying to remember what it was. Let's focus on one thing, and then we'll fill it out, figure out what I messed up on. Okay, background color pink. Okay, background color's pink. And I think it's, oh, okay, colon, not an equal sign. I knew it was something like that. Okay, there we go. So this should be a colon and not an equal sign. My bad. Anyway, so you can see we can change the style by that, just that particular H1. So this H1 is the only one that's affected. None of the other ones are. If we had put it up here, we get some H1 styling up here. So let's go ahead and put the style. So remember, any kind of internal or embedded styles have to be in the head, and they have to be within style tags. So we're going to do H1, and we're going to say background color, blue color for the font is white, and font size is 40 pixels. Okay, so let's go in here and refresh the page. And you'll see all these other headings, these other two headings about TSS and comments are now blue and white, and I'm assuming that's 40 pixels. But this is still pink with 50 pixels, and it does look bigger than this. So the reason that this is still pink and this is blue, even though we told it up here that we want everything that with the H1 tag, which this does have, to be blue, is because the order of precedence states that the styling that's represented closest to the tag or the element is what supersedes anything it read before. So a browser reads a web page from the top to the bottom. So when a browser's reading this web page and it sees, okay, we need to link the external style sheets, okay, it's going to look in this particular style sheet. It's like, okay, everything's going to have that style. Okay, and then it sees this right here, and it's like, wait a minute, this is on the exact same page as the style, and we're going to be applying. So anything that's got this tag, these are the rules we're going to follow. And then it scrolls on down, and it gets to this right here, where it's got the style, and we give it the rules. It's like, wait a minute, this one has this specific styling. This is the styling we're going to follow. And then when it gets down to the other H1s up here, okay, it's like, well, wait a minute, this one doesn't have any other instructions, so we're just going to refer back to these instructions. And when it gets to something that, peas, for example, it's like peas, and we don't have any other instructions on this particular page. There's nothing here. So we're going to refer to this. And we don't see anything for peas here, which I don't think there was. We're going to refer to whatever our browser says by default. So that's the order of hierarchy in regards to how a browser reads a web page to make the styling. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off because I don't want it to be pink and blue. So when I take this off, for example, and I save that and refresh, it now looks like the other ones because now I took away that styling. Okay, take this off as well. Save. What's going on here? Save. There we go. Okay. Going back to this. So talking about hierarchy, so I would maybe add a note here. Shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, this is what I did in class. So there's a hierarchy in regards to how web pages are shown. First is whatever the browser rules are. Second is whatever the user defines, like dark theme, edit. Font size, etc. Third is an external style sheet, such as link H. Just going to take that IE out. Link href equals TSS layout dot CSS relationship equals style sheet. Fourth is embedded, also known as internal. Appear. There's only so much I can do in here. Okay, evidently I've reached my character capacity. But anyways, it appears on the same sheet, and the fifth is inline, so just what we had in here to make that one with a pink background. Okay. Okay, so viewing a page using different style sheets. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this line here because this is the exercise we're getting ready to do. So I'm going to bypass this first one. If you were not in class, basically open up the file that has txt.html and you enter your name and your date, and then you save it as tss_home.html. Basically, you just take out that when you rename it. So we've already scrolled through this document a little bit, so I'm bypassing step 2. open the home page. So if I go back to that home page, since I deleted that linked style sheet, it should look like that. Okay, so the browser style sheet applies a few specific styles to the page, including adding solid circles to the navigation list items. I'm going to draw this, make this separate so you can see. So we got like the circles for the bullets, which are for the unordered list, which is the default for most, if not all, browsers. Got hypertext in blue with the underline, which is the universal way of seeing that something is a link. You can totally edit that, but it's not advisable because if you just take out it so it looks like that any kind of text like black with no underline, most people will not know that it's a link. It says, but the page is difficult to read because you have to do that. So we are going to link the external style sheet, which was this, in here. So to link, we do link href. The name of the file has to be in quotes, and it is case, space, everything sensitive, so it has to be exact. And we're saying the relationship is a style sheet. And once you save that, after you enter that and save it, okay, it should look like this. Okay. And the reason for that is because of the rules that are specified in this particular style sheet. There's rules for the body, there's rules for the header when it's nested in a body, such as this is the body, this header is nested in the body. And the rules for that are margin is 0 with the 100 and overflow hidden. If we made that with 50%, even though we're in the CSS page, it should affect this file here. Find it. Okay, and you can see it's only about 50% of the page. So I want to go back to here and undo that. And once I save it and refresh, it's back to what it was. So that's what it looks like now. Exploring style rules. So we talked about this earlier, how you in the, what's it want us to do in this one, internal or external? Looks like this is the style sheet. So let's go ahead and play with the style sheet a little bit. The reason for we have an external style sheet is just to make it easier to make edits and to read your pages. For example, if we took out this link, okay, when you go back to your web page, it's going to look like this again, okay? And we're telling it, that link told it to look here for the styling rules. But that's not the only way you can do it. It does the exact same thing as if we select all of that. So I'll select all the styling from line 14, line 14. So I'm done. Line 13, sorry. And I'll delay to the end, hit Control C for copy. Okay, Control C for copy. Sorry, my kid came in. Control C. Trying to get Control C for copy. Now my dog's bothering me. Go to the HTML homepage, and I got to do an opening style tag. And Control V for pasting that all. Okay. And Control S to save. And remember, this is what it looked like whenever I took out that external link. Okay, so this is what the web page looks like before I refresh the page. This is what, when we took out that external style sheet. So once I refresh the page, after adding all of this in here, find it. Okay, it looks the exact same way as we added the external style sheet. The reason we use things like external style sheets is because this obviously makes the page a little bit longer, and which is not ideal. And also, if we have other web pages within this website that we want all have to the same kind of styling for uniformity and conformity, you would have to do this on every single web page. The beauty of using external style sheets and everything referring to one single web page, one single style sheet, is you only have that one line of code. Go ahead and undo this so I get to where I want. You only have this one line of code that you have to put in there, and voila, it's done. If you have multiple web pages in a website, which most do have multiple pages in a website, and you're wanting to completely change your style, you're going through a brand redesign and you're wanting to change your colors, your fonts, whatever, you can just make the edit on this particular page and everything else is updated to match that. If you did it the other way by doing an internal or embedded styling, you would have to go to every single web page and make that edit. And I know Hawking College, some students have pointed out to me that Hawking College's website, which is managed by an external company, there's some styling discrepancies because, yeah, I don't know what happened. But this allows your website to have some conformity and uniformity, and everything's flowing the exact same kind of styling. So those are two reasons that this is preferred. Linking to an external style sheet is it doesn't bulk up your content, and you can make edits in one spot and be done. Okay. So anything, like I said, we do in this external style sheet is going to reflect on this page because of this link. So the example they have here in the book is H1s. So there's no H1 styling here right now. So let's go to the bottom, and we're going to make some edits here. And the styling they was talking about was color red, text align center. Color red, text align center. And once we hit refresh, nothing happened. What do I do? Save, refresh, nothing happened. Oh, I don't think I saved it after I took out stuff and added stuff back in. So save my HTML. There we go. So you can see how our H1s, which we went over before, was just the links about TSS and comments, are now in the center and red. And we can do the same thing if we want it to be right aligned. Right, or refresh the page, and it's now our right aligned. Undo that, save it again. Okay, you'll notice that there's semicolons at the end of every individual line that we give it. And that is required or your styling will not work. So check out the semicolon after red, save it, refresh, and nothing works. All right. So if you have code, the styling that's not styling what it should be, make sure you have all your semicolons there. That's usually one of the first errors, and many errors that I've made is not putting the semicolons in. So you notice like whenever I did that, that everything, all the alignment was messed up. The alignment was not centered anymore. And so that's because once it got to this one, it's like, what, doesn't know what to do. Let's say you have multiple lines in here. So you want to make the background color yellow. Okay. So let's refresh this page again. Background color is yellow, font is red, centered. But I forget that semicolon in the middle. It's still red, but the centering and the background's gone because it successfully completed reading this line. Let's say a color is going to be red. Okay, we're good. And then I get to this line. It's like, this doesn't make sense because I don't know what to do here. And then it talks about this. It's kind of like a run-on sentence. Sometimes run-on sentences are hard to read. It's like, where's my punctuation here? That's what the computer and the browser is needing. It's needing its punctuation. And a couple of different ways that you can see like something's wrong is, like you see this red, it has that little red block showing. It's part of the VS Code to show what red looks like for this. And you also see this little red squiggly line under the colon. But you notice if we have the correct semicolon and the yellows now got the yellow block and the red squiggly line is gone. Okay, so we did this earlier. We had multiples on there. Let's do that again. So we want H1 and H2 to be on there. Yeah. Okay, so now everything that was H1 and H2 now looks the exact same. You can do that. It doesn't have to be all the H's or all the, doesn't have to even be the same kind of thing. You can do H1s and article. Like there was an article segment there. Yep. So this was the article tag. You can do that for the links or for the headings and the article. So you can mix and match. Go back to my tab. You can put them on the same line. This is not my preferences, so it's not going to be my recommendation, but you can. So I find that harder to read, and some people say they prefer it. Whatever. Oh, wait a minute, that didn't work. That did not work. What did I do? Oh, it did work, sorry. Okay. Yeah. You can do that on the same line. My preferences is on multiple lines like this because I find that easier to read. So what else we got here? Okay, browser extensions. And I think this is about where we ended in class. Let me go through here real quick. Not quite. What we did not do in class, I don't believe anyways, we talked about browser extensions and vendor prefixes. So, as websites update, as browsers go through their updates, remember, can I use.com? We find out, we can see if a browser will accept nav tags. I don't think that's the right nav. Nav. What's going on here? Maybe that wasn't right now. Nav. Hold on. Let me see what I'm doing here. Okay. So when I was doing for nav, evidently there's 16 different ways that nav can be used. So if you're looking for something and there's multiple options, my suggestion is just scroll through until you find the one you're looking for. That may require a little bit of just eyeballing it. But what I wanted was this. It was actually the last one. Yeah, on here. So HTML5 offers some new elements primarily for semantic purposes, and nav was one of them. And this is the indication of nav that I was looking for. So we talk about IE, whether IE supports it, has partial support. Edge supports it, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, iOS Safari. So most of the big ones, they provide full support to it. Forgot where I was going with this. Okay, but some, as HTML5, like this one talks about things that came along with HTML5. And if somebody is still using IE, say somebody's using IE8 for who knows what reason, that their browser is not going to support it, the nav tag. So what you need to do, what vendor prefixes are used to help tell the browser, like somebody's using IE8, it's like, hey, this kind of gives it like a prefix kind of thing. If you see, where's it? Where's IE? Oh, here it is. Try this MS use that the IE8 will see that MS and make sense of what you're trying to say with that tag. For example, that's used here is article. Column count, I guess that's something that's one of the more recent styles added to CSS according to this. But older browsers may not recognize that that element, that property, whatever you want to call it. What's it called here? One of the more recent style features as a layout style. So they may not recognize that terminology for layout style. So what it does is you have to use these prefixes prior to that particular layout style. So you can see WebKit is used for Android, Chrome, and Safari. O was used for Opera, Nintendo Wii browser. MS is Internet Explorer. Moz is for Firefox and Camino, and KHTML is Conquer. I've never heard of Conquer. Anyways, so what the browser does as it reads it, it ignores the stuff it doesn't recognize. So what you need to do is making sure that the current version, like that styling name, is listed last. It says in here, in general, browsers process style properties in the order they're listed, ignoring those properties they don't recognize or support. So you always want the most current specifications listed last. So if an older version of Chrome is coming along, you'll see it's WebKit. But if it's an IE or a newer version of Chrome that doesn't recognize it, it'll just ignore it. If it's Mozilla, if it's a older version of Firefox coming along, it would read off this and ignore this and ignore this. So that's just something to keep in mind. And there's actually an extension. I think I did that in the other video, but I did not do it in class. So let's do it here. I want to pause for a sec. Okay, so back in VS Code, you see on the left-hand side, if you go about middle halfway down, you'll see extensions. It looks like these little squares. What we want is auto prefixer. So search for that, click on it, and install. It takes a few minutes. And in this, while it's installing, you can look at exactly how it works, see how things work. Okay. And It says install usage. Okay, press F1 to run the command named auto prefix or CSS. And talks about some other things that you can do with keyboard shortcuts. I'm never really messed with that. Okay, looks like it's installed. So close that out, minimize this so I can see it. So I don't know off the top of my head which ones are needing stuff, but it looks like article does. So let's create a tag for article. Oh, okay, my bad. Let me back up with that. I don't know which CSS styling features need prefixes off the top of my head without looking, but column count evidently does. I said article earlier, my bad. So let's just go ahead and make a new styling for article and column count and 3. Okay. And if we hit F1, oh, shoot, I forgot about that. On these keyboards, you have to hit the FN button, which is below the control and which is beside the control and the Windows key to indicate that one of those F numbers up there. So hit F, make sure that FN button is selected and has the light on, and hit F1. And you'll see the auto prefix CSS. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Give me a sec. It did it. I don't know. And then I undid it to show you here. But I don't know what I did different. F1. Okay, that did it. Maybe I just didn't hit it right the first time. But you can see how it automatically moves the column count down. It only provides the WebKit column count up here above. I honestly don't know why it only did the WebKit, which is for Chrome and stuff. But I don't know if Mozilla has updated it or it's because I have a setting on here. Honestly, I don't know. I have to dive a little deeper into the reasons behind that. But this is how that works. So if you had something that was not automatically updated in all browsers, you can just do that prefix in VS Code and the auto prefixer, and it'll automatically do those updates for you. Embedded style sheets. So embedded style sheets are, again, what I refer to as internal style sheets. We was doing this earlier, so you see that it's got to have the style tag before and after it. So let's go back to VS Code and the home page. Wait a minute. What's this look like now? Okay, I need to fix that. So let's take this out because that messes things up. What's this look like now? Okay, need to fix that. Okay, that takes us to where we should be. So let's go back to the VS Code HTML page. And remember, the styles are required to show an internal or embedded styling. So article, we want the background color to be black, color for the font to be white. That's applied there. Let's see. So it talks about the precedents, which we talked about earlier. Inline styles. So we want an article. We're telling our article should be black and white. But when we actually get to our article, we say, let's let's do that here. Background. Okay. So I'm in the P tag right before since 2002. So P tag style equals background color yellow, color black. Okay. So the article is still what I requested up here, right? Still like this, black background, white font, with the exception of this paragraph right here. That's because in a specific paragraph tag, I said I wanted to be a yellow background and black font. So, but the specific P tag for this specific paragraph that ended at this closing P tag right here, I told it I wanted a yellow background and black font, which is why that's the only section that's, affected. So the whole article is black background, white font, with the exception of this P tag that I specified, yellow background and black font. And that talks a little bit about the order of precedence. So it starts this, and then it sees this rule. It's like, okay, this supersedes what was here. And then continued on with that rule that was the embedded tag. Okay. We talked about that. I think this is, I don't know, did we talk about this in additional factors, how an element is rendered, that properties are passed from parent element to its child, is style inheritance. This defines style rule, sets the color of an article, text to blue, that rule is passed to any paragraph. Okay. So style inheritance, let's go look in here. So on this one right here, the style we set for the article was background, black, color white. We go to the article, where was that? Article, okay. Even though with the exception of this one, because it has its own inline style, all these subsequent P tags and even the H2 and more P's and the list and that list and this paragraph and this H2 for philosophies, more P tags, until everything that's included up until this closing article inherits, even though they're different tags, inherits the properties that we told the article to have. The only way to avoid that is provide an inline style, such as I did on this one. Let's see. Okay.
What?